I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me
Hold on
now?
a sec. Oh, whoops. Hold on.
That's probably why.
Hey, there we go. How we?
What's up, Coach Christo?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's a good weather. It's Friday. Not that Friday means anything different.
Yeah. Friday does mean something for me because it's my
Your
day
day off?
off. Yeah, yeah.
What do you look forward to on your day off?
Um, just being a little bit more relaxed. One thing that I like a lot is having dinner, either with my wife and our kid, or tonight we might go out. Her mom's visiting, staying with us, and then my parents live nearby, so we're maybe going to go out to dinner. So we'll see. So that's something. Just like when I was growing up, my parents were very strict on we sit down and we eat dinner all together. And obviously, as you get older and I have practice and my sister is doing something else, and my brother's doing something else, like you do it less. But whenever I get a chance to sit down and have a meal, it's always nice.
Yeah, I feel like I don't like that might go away with people not working 9 to 5s anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that dinner table might be fractured a little bit. But I think it's so strong that it still has it, even if it's like on holidays.
yeah.
Um, there's a- that's good. And what was the best moment of your week so far?
Best moment of my week. Oof. All right. So just today, actually, I had to go into Boston this morning to with
Let me
my.
know.
Sorry?
You should have told me. Yeah, that's where I live.
Well, it was the first time we were taking Isla in. So I knew it was going to be a little bit of a disaster, which it was, but it was good. But we went. I had something I had to do. Well, me and my wife. So we went. Sky's mom came with us. We we went. We did what we had to do on our way out. We grabbed a bite. We were maybe going to go to the aquarium, but we decided not to. It was, but we did go outside, and there's that tank where they have the seals outside of the aquarium, and we just stood there for a minute and held Isla. And she was watching the seals swim past, and her eyes are kind of following them a little bit. And I don't know, it's like I thought that it would be more about the big moments, like first word, first step. Obviously that stuff hasn't happened, but even the little moments where she's just noticing things. So she's noticing when you're smiling at her and she smiles back, or noticing the seals actually swimming and kind of following them with her eyes. They're very special moments. So that was a lot of fun for me, holding her and watching her face as the seals are swimming around.
So I feel like Fridays are the days where more of those moments are not happen but are more noticeable.
Mm-hmm. For me, at least, because it's easier to be a little bit more relaxed when I don't have to. I know I have to, be somewhere in the afternoon, which, obviously, on some other weeks, the best moment might be at a training session. But it's it depends on the week, I guess. What was your best moment this week?
I don't know. I didn't know you're gonna throw that back at me.
You must know. If you ask me that question, of course I'm gonna ask you.
I normally just keep asking. Because what was the first question? Oh, what do you look forward to? Okay. And you didn't throw that one back, so I was like, okay, let me keep going. Man, I enjoy a lot of the moments in my week, but I mean today I'm doing CrossFit now, but it's basically just working out. But today's workout was good, so it was a good moment. But I guess what comes to mind is the session on Monday was really fun.
Uh-huh.
It was out of like
Wait, that was the rain, right?
the rainy one, yeah. So
Yeah.
I try to make those like significantly more unstructured.
Hmm.
I think anytime that there's rain, it actually helps build a moment that they'll remember. And like in a tough game, and be like, "Yo, we were training in the rain, and we were laughing, um, and we just played a lot." Obviously there was conditions in the game or limitations in the game, but yeah, it was a fun moment. It was a
Yeah.
fun moment. So I
Yeah.
think I
That
enjoy
that's
those.
actually, if I was gonna pick a training moment from this week, it might have been when the boys asked me to hang out for a couple minutes at the end of the training session to film them, juggling in the rain.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Because it was
and
raining hard, bro.
yeah, I know, and they were hanging out and juggling, and they, of course the video took me like a couple minutes to get because they kept messing up. So, but
Also,
they were like one more, one more, and then they did like 5 or 6, and they weren't like really really good. And they were kind of, the ball like went far away, and they were kind of, I could tell they were kind of gonna like pack it up. And I was like, one more. And then they were like, super excited. They ran and got the ball, went back in, and that was the best one. So I'm glad,
you
sometimes,
captured it.
sometimes takes that little extra push
I know.
to
By
get
the
it out.
which I guess that takes me to the worst moment, which is my car soaked with pennies that I have to wash the next day on my rest day. I hate doing laundry. Period. I try to like I'll pay somebody to do it for me if I can. Um, and then on top of that, I got it. But anyway, what are we talking about
Anyways,
today, Christo?
today we are talking about a soccer field that has significance to us. Yeah, take it any way you want, and tell a story, or like little bit of background, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Why
Yeah,
go? You go.
you want me to go
I can't
first?
remember.
I
Who
think
went
it's your
first last
turn to
time?
go first.
My turn. I can go
Yeah.
first. All right. Hold on. There needs space behind me. I think. I didn't give my location, so today we're in New Hampshire again today. Um,
You're always in New Hampshire.
I'm always most of the time. Last week I was in Burlington. Uh, Field. Oh yes. So it's Stony Brook University. Their soccer field. Have you been there?
It sounds familiar, but
It's
I'm
in
not
New
sure.
York. New York
New
or New
York.
Jersey? New York or New
Oh.
Jersey? I don't know. Either New York and New Jersey, same thing for me when it comes to fields that I played. It was still getting on the bus for I don't know 4 hours.
I may have
Anyways,
had a I may have had a friend who went to school
a
there
big
actually.
stadium
Yeah.
actually.
Uh-huh.
It's a big stadium. It has like the big screen where like you can watch the replays.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah. Uh, so the first reason was like, well, the stadium was pretty cool. So the first time I went there was my freshman year with BU. Um, and I remember it because it was a game where we were down 1-0, and I didn't start that game. And then they uh, they put me on they put me to they told me to go warm up, and then I was warming up. I was warming up is just stretch out your quad and whatever. um,
Yeah.
if you ever seen a soccer player warm up, um, and then I know I heard my mom's name, and like my parents barely went to my club team games. Like, why would my mom's name be at Stony Brook? And then they said Columbia and the city that I was from. I said, wait, who the hell is saying all these things? And then they said my name, and they said they were telling my mom, so they were saying my mom's name, telling her to send me back to Columbia where I came from. And then I was like, whoa, what's
Wait,
going on?
what?
Yeah. And so like the fans from the other team were saying like Liliana send Andres back to Colombia. And so they were like chanting that
How
on the
how did
side.
they know you or your mom?
So without I learned that on the first game against um St. John's, that they'll go on the BU website or whatever
And like
college
read your bio?
and read the bio. So normally it's like mom, dad, and father,
Where
sister
you're
or whatever.
from, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and where you're from. And so like I always like tell that I'm from Colombia and Cali, Colombia. So then I'm just hearing them and like Andres, like Liliana, send Andres back to Colombia. I was like, what is going? Like I'm not even one of like the star players. I'm
Yeah.
just like near the bench. So immediately like I was like, damn, what's going on? This field is different. Um, and then I got onto the field and there was like four, no, not four, there was like three different lines in like, so there was a football field, there was a lacrosse field, and there was soccer field lines, and there was football net, goal post or goal, and then soccer goal. And so I don't know, that made it like it. I didn't know what I was playing. I mean, obviously soccer, but I don't know which line. I don't know which what was too far out. So I already was like, this field sucks. Like this experience sucks. These fans suck. The sport actually sucks, and we're losing. And so that was like the first 45-minute experience on that field. And then
Was that one of your first experiences with like real trash talk, or that like
to me, yeah, to me,
yeah.
yeah. I heard it to my goalkeeper because they were saying his mom's name and they were saying Anna hates you, and his behind his goal in our first game. I just had never like I was like, oh, he's a sophomore, junior. They know of him. Like I'm never gonna get it at least this year. Anyway, so yeah, so that happened. We're down 1-0, and then in the second half there was like 15 minutes left, and I scored my first collegiate goal to
Nice.
tie the game. And so the field went from being the worst field ever. So I was like, it's the first time I ever scored in college. We tie the game, and then we go to overtime. And then Dom, I think I've mentioned him.
Yeah.
He scored the winner in overtime. And so I left that field like this is a special field. Like this is one of the best fields that I will ever play. And then I think it was 2 years later, I'm back on that field and we're losing again. But now I'm playing for UMass Lowell. And so we were down 1-0, and that was still in the back of my head, like that whole experience, like not the whole experience, the fact that we were losing, and then a goal that I scored turned it around. We got a free kick, and so most of our start, like the attackers were. It was almost the end of the first half. Most of the attackers were out, and so it was far enough that if they were in, I would have crossed it. But they were not in, so I was like, I'm just gonna hit it.
Yeah.
And then I just went in, I just hit that thing, and it went upper 90, bro. Like, actually, it's on YouTube. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I've never scored a goal like that. It was goal of the year for that season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was goal of the
Nice.
year. It got voted of the year.
You
For
should
the
have seen.
conference.
You should have seen last night. I think it was. We were playing murder ball again, and Landon scored. I was playing keeper.
Bro.
Landon scored on me. Shocking. And then he got the ball out of the net. It took one touch and just blasted it. It was one of the cleanest hits like
Really?
I've seen in a while. Yeah.
No, like he has goals. Like he has more goals than Luke, than Gustavo.
Yeah, I know. I just give him a hard time because he does so well to create so many chances, and he just
And then sometimes
in front of
misses
goal.
the
Yeah,
lead.
when he misses,
Yeah,
he misses
bro.
badly. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
back to you.
Anyways, so I scored the goal of the year. I didn't know it was gonna be goal of the year then, but to tie 1-1, and then we end up winning 2-1 at the end of the game again. And so it was interesting that it was that feeling that this was that good feeling from playing with BU went into this one. And then I didn't go back to that field until I was coaching with UMass Lowell. And then there was something about going to that field now that I was like, oh, like everything's gonna go well. I think it was 30 minutes in, we were down like 4-0. And so the fans were there, and then they weren't yelling my name. They don't yell the coaches' names, but again, it went back to like that original feeling of this field sucks. The lines again, these
Yeah.
fans suck. This moment sucks. And so that's the last time that I went to that field. I don't know if I'll go back and I'll have a different experience, but yeah, no, I think it wasn't so much of only the good moment, but also the bad moments that capture the fullness of that field. And as I was thinking about that, I was just thinking like that goal of the year had something to do with that feeling from 2 years back, but then losing 4-0 as a coach got me back to the original feeling of when I was being trash talked. Um, so I don't know. The question just became like, how many times does a thinking about this location actually helped me um, think about how many times do we let a previous experience affect the fullness of the next experience. And so I think I was able to take that with me when you give me that question of what is the fields. But yeah, that's the one. That's the one that made me feel most alive. Um, Good moments, bad moments, but it's a special one.
Yeah. And I think something that's interesting to me is like the starting out so negative. Do you think that like with such like a, you know, fans, you know, being, you know, talking some trash, do you think that um, like influenced how good it felt when you scored the goal of the season, like all of this stuff? Do you think like that added something to it, like the kind of like the hostile
Hmm.
environment?
That's a good question. I
Like
think
would
because
it
I was,
would
yeah,
it
go
have
ahead.
been that special? Like obviously it's the first, it was like the first goal you scored, like, and then like
Yeah.
goal of the season and stuff. Do you think the field would mean the same thing to you if it hadn't started off the way it started off? And you were on the bench too, you know,
Yeah,
you were
yeah, yeah,
someone
yeah.
to start with. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that that moment being more negative felt that the good moment was really elevated. Um, I think because I was a freshman and I was so concerned about playing well and doing the little things, and I wasn't necessarily concerned about scoring because that wasn't my role.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't anticipating that. Oh shoot, I scored now. I can go talk shit. But had I been a maybe like a junior or the main guy and they're talking crap, then I probably would have like I might have even said something. Um,
Yeah.
but at the end of the game, like once I got, and also because we had it, the game didn't end and it wasn't the winning goal. There was also like I
Yeah.
can't if I sit on that, then
Yeah.
it might get this on you. But the negative feeling did add a little bit to a little bit of weight to the good one. Um, and I think that momentum took me to the next one, and it gave me
Yeah.
a some sort of optimism or positive perspective when I was in a scenario where I was down again. But that even that can be dangerous because maybe
Yeah.
you go too cocky, and maybe I don't score that free kick, and maybe we do lose. So I don't know. It could go either way, but um, it's like surfing. I would not that I surf, but I feel like it would be like surfing, like making sure you catch the right wave or making sure you let the wave do its thing because if you get too comfortable, then you're gonna drown or
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
drop.
You
So
might be in the same ocean, but you know, different
yeah,
day, the waves are going to be different day, different team, different circumstances. But yeah, I think like it's something that I say a lot to players is whenever they're in like a situation that isn't great, um, all of my good stories of a game start out with things not being so great. Like I don't tell the story about the game I scored like, you know, a double hat trick in because it's not an interesting story. We won that game like 12-2 or something. Like
yeah,
it's just it wasn't it's not like a game that lives in my kind of memory, but like the game that, you know, I scored, but then we went down 2-1 and then I scored two more goals. Like that's a game that
yeah,
I tell the story of because it was like that's a game I'll always remember and I'll always remember all the details. Like the
yeah,
game that maybe I didn't even score in, but you know, we had to fight really hard to get a result. Like
yeah,
or you know games you tell a lot of stories about. I notice games that you were losing,
yeah,
and that's because turning a game around, that is one of the best experiences, right? There's nothing quite like you know being down 1 or 2 or 3 and
yeah.
making a comeback like Everton the other day. Like
Oh yeah, I heard about it.
how meaningful is that to
Yeah,
be, you know, to be down 2-0 and turn
because
that
what
game
if
around? Yeah.
because what if they were up 3-0 the whole time and it ended 3-2?
Yeah.
Same result, whatever.
It just
Yeah, that's
doesn't feel
true.
the same. And I think that's why like when you're in one of those situations, it shouldn't discourage you. It should make you fight harder, because
Yeah.
that feeling of turning it around, like just imagine how good it's going to feel when you do. And you won't do it
Yeah.
every time, but if you don't fight for it, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. It has to, and I guess it's easier said than done, but I think maybe even looking at it, like I imagine City going back to Bernabeu, or City going to when they go to Anfield. There's something about that field, that location, um, that adds something. But I don't know. There has to be somewhere, like maybe find a way to tap into a psychological location rather than a physical location, um, in order to just know it's the thing you do for a living, is the thing you do because you love it, um, and that might help you recreate a new moment. Because I'm not gonna say it will help you recreate a good moment, um, but it'll recreate a moment that you either were really angry or really happy, but both of them almost puts you outside of time, and those are the moments you'll remember most.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's like, obviously, just because you had a good game on a field previously doesn't mean you're going to have another good game. But that feeling of like comfort, sometimes I feel like more at home on a football pitch than anywhere else in the world. And sometimes I feel, not at home at all. And I think, you know, I think it's okay to
Yeah.
have fields where you're more comfortable on. And sometimes you go in games and you have to play on a field that you don't like, or a field where the grass is horrible or the turf is horrible, like we talked about last week or whatever.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to deal with that. Like, that's that difficult situation. At the
Yeah.
start, it's a challenge. Can you deal with it? And other times, you're playing on a field you've played on 100 times before.
Yeah.
And you get to enjoy that. And it's a different experience.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I feel like you have the ability to make the best out of the fullness of the experience, regardless of the location, or even the factors, like obviously it was horrible on Monday and it was raining and nobody wanted, and if we were just doing all this tactical thing, or if we just decided to do set pieces
Yeah.
on the day that it
And
was
just
raining,
stand around. Yeah.
Yes. So I think we have the ability to dictate the fullness of every single experience. But sometimes we see, oh shit, it's raining. Oh, it's dark. Oh, I could have been thinking in that moment, oh, I gotta watch the pennies tomorrow, which is true, and I was gonna hate it, but I couldn't let that remove the fullness of that given moment. So yeah, so I think using the locations to understand what about the moment,
Yeah.
I think is a good approach, as opposed to maybe just picking the location and hoping that that's the location that things happen, um, or magic things happen. Unless it's Real
Yeah.
Madrid Stadium.
And
That's
yeah, and like when special moments, this would be a good segue into my story. When special moments happen, whether it's in life, whatever it is, I'm so lucky. I get to walk outside. I can take 100 steps, and I'm where I married my wife. So like the special moments are sometimes defined by where you are when those moments happen. And I think like I think it can be powerful. Like I talked before about going out and walking around a field, and how that made me feel kind of at home. I think moments are powerful, and the locations those moments happen in can also be really powerful. So I took my story a bit of a different way. So my dad grew up in this tiny town in Greece. When he was there, it was maybe 1,000 people, something like that.
Oh wow!
So very, very small. And it's gotten, a lot smaller. When I was a kid, they had preschool there, or like preschool, kindergarten, maybe like first grade or something. So my parents, we were always back and forth from Greece a lot when I was a kid. I did like I think one year we went like for the whole summer, and we actually went a little early as well. So we went in like probably like May, maybe even April or something. So I did a couple months actually at, Greek school, whatever grade it was, like kindergarten or something. And but now the school, they don't have the school anymore. They go, any kids from that town, which there aren't very many, go to a different town to go to school, because there aren't enough kids in that town. But that, obviously, to my dad, it's a very special place. To me, it's a very special place because I've spent a lot of time there. My grandparents live there. Basically, everyone who lives there knows me, and even if I don't know them very well. And there's this, playground, I guess, outside of the school. And after the school wasn't, being used anymore, it became a soccer field. Now it's not very big. It's not grass. It's like pavement ish. And the reason I thought of this question to ask was because I was over at my parents the other day, and I had a soccer ball, like I always do wherever I go. And I was juggling, and I ended up making a video, because like I was like, I was looking at my feet while I was juggling, and my parents had done this like stone little patio, but it's the stones are all uneven, and there's moss kind of coming up in between them, so it looks really, really cool. And it reminded me of this because there's cracks in the pavement and there's like moss and grass coming up. We had gotten these like poles that were like stuck in like a little bit of like cement or something for goalposts on either end. And those were on the field. I'm not sure if they're still there, but really run down. But anyway, I used to play there. We would go whenever I was in Greece. I'd go down in the morning because it gets super hot in Greece. So 8 or 9 in the morning, play for a couple hours, go home, eat lunch, like sleep, or like just sit inside, play video games, whatever, because it like from 11 to like 3 or 4, you can't be outside there in the summer, too hot. And then, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, people start, going out again, and we play again. So those were like basically my days would be go down in the morning, play, go up to the house, wait until I could go down and play again. I remember this one time, I woke up early, I went down to play, and I scored an own goal. And I was, it's like, obviously, no one cared, but we would actually be pretty serious. We would take it pretty serious. We would keep score and everything, and, make fun of the people who lost. So I scored an own goal, and then like a couple minutes or so later, I destroyed my knee. I like scraped it, blood like everywhere. It was like really, really bad scrape. And like look at it's like wasn't very clean ground either, so it was like all messed up. So I ran up to my parents' house, because I wanted to come back, because I didn't want to score an own goal and then scrape my knee up and they just leave. So I went up. My mom was like freaking out. I like tried to like clean it up as much as I can, put like 50 band-aids on it, race back down to play again. And I don't know, I don't remember really past that. what else happened that day. I'm sure I got there and got to play for a little bit more. I don't know if we won, if we lost, whatever. But it was just like, it's funny because it was such a horrible field. And and I had been I played so badly that day, and I scraped my knee, and I could have just like gone home and been like, oh, I'm done. But I had to get back down there because it's one of the fields. I'd be lying if I said there was one field where I fell in love with the game playing on, but it was one of them. And to this day, probably the worst field I've ever played on in my life. But
Worse than
something.
I shouldn't ask that.
something special. About that. Many scraped knees, many losses, many wins, many goals. But yeah, something special.
What do you think are the ingredients to it? Because I don't think that the ingredients were so much it definitely wasn't the own goal. It wasn't losing. It wasn't getting. But what about that? What are the things that make that feel so special? Because I feel like you probably have gotten hurt in other fields. You probably have lost in other fields. What are little things in particular? Because I think if we can figure those things out, we can be more aware of all these other spaces that we go in and know that we can find those things.
Yeah. So I actually didn't play on official teams probably until I was either 11 or 12 years old. I played pickup and that was it. I did some other sports as well and stuff, but I didn't really play until I was I played in Greece. I played a lot. Whenever we in Greece, I played a ton. And a couple years, it was probably actually at about that point, or maybe even sooner, when I was in fifth grade, where you're like 10 in fifth grade, something like that. My family spent 6 months in Greece. And that's when that's when I first kind of played for an official team. And I think playing only pickup it's an interesting kind of experience. And I think that maybe because this was probably actually after I had started playing for some official teams for a little bit. And I think that there's something so.
What does pickup have that the other environments don't, or the other way around?
Yeah, I think, like in a word, probably freedom. I think like that's something, and that's something I've struggled with a lot. Obviously, we've talked about that. Later on in my career, like dealing with coaches and with all this other stuff. I think sometimes, like I recommend players play in an totally unstructured environment, like fairly regularly, because I think it's just so beneficial. I think that taking away a coach, taking away, whatever, like training kit, taking away being on an official team. I think that can help sometimes. Just,
Why?
Well, I think we talk a lot about like asking players if they really love the game, right? And I think a lot of players either don't really love it or lose or kind of like forget why. I think sometimes you have to take it all away and play on a crappy field with, just some random kids who happen to be in the same area as you. Cause that's what they were like, obviously they were my friends. But we were playing together because they lived in that town and I was there.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you kind of figure out, Is it really the game that you love? Is that what you want to do? And for me, obviously, the answer was, well, however many scraped knees I get, I'm gonna be playing on that field.
So should we find a way to create a space of pickup? Like, why isn't that our jobs? If that's what we enjoy more, why do we
I,
actually go counter that and go into coaching, competing, and all that?
yeah, I mean, I think there's a balance, because I think a lot of my sessions end up being, at least for periods, um, end up being, pickup. Yeah, I think obviously, we work for a club that is a little bit, all the coaches kind of have the same, not the same ideas on everything, but um, similar kind of
Yeah,
philosophies. And I think that's good, obviously, like and we trust each other, right? Whatever we're doing, even if, one coach thinks that things are like, you look at my session, you're like, what the heck is Christo doing with those kids? But we trust each other to, that we know what we're doing. And I think a lot of coaches do try to structure things too much. When, we've talked about this a lot, but I think what the players really need is an environment where they can play, and, feel free.
yeah,
And hopefully, we create that for them. I think that if a player doesn't go and play on them by themselves, though, they probably won't be as good as they could be. And I think play like, we talked about like the challenges you faced of like the trash talk. I honestly think that spending a lot of time playing on a horrible field made me such a better player. Like having to, you know, I have a field out in front of my house now, which is like the grass is really nice, but there's like, it's a
how
bit
big is it?
bobbly.
We should do pickup there.
Honestly, we should. I have 3 nets now. Um,
What's the most we can do? 4v4?
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, we could do a little 4v4
We should
tournament.
we should do the end of year coaches thing at my house. Um,
Yeah, that's better than Sabrin.
um,
Wait, no, we gotta delete that.
no, but I think I like, it has like weird baubles and stuff that I have to deal with when I'm playing out there. And I think it helps, honestly.
Yeah,
I think players are a little bit spoiled today with sometimes with the fields they play on.
yeah,
And I think, and that goes back to like, do you love playing soccer, or do you only love it when the field's perfect? Your coach is saying, great things to you. All your teammates love you. Because if that's the case, you don't really love it.
yeah. I think you hit on like the most important ingredient, which is freedom. Um, and any time that there's an environment that sucks that out of it, then soccer becomes less enjoyable. I think I want to say for me there's a layer even below or beyond, whatever you want to say. There's another layer um, that can unlock that freedom. The way what works for me is I like people more than I like soccer, and so I think that I can inject the environments with freedom if I create a good relationship with all my players. Um, and that's tough because there's some players that will only see you as a coach and like, oh, you don't play me, you play me, all this stuff. But I try my very best to I don't know if friend is the right word, but but for them to feel love. And I think that activates a level of I don't care if I mess up because even if he says something to me, he loves me or he cares for me. And so I think that is the one practical thing that has helped me recreate a space of freedom that I notice in pickup, and I can bring it into a structure. Because I don't think that there will be careers for pickup soccer,
Yeah.
you know, which is fine, but it also like the players that feel most comfortable with their coaches exceed or excel at the highest of levels. So like you have De Bruyne or you have Salah, um, who I honestly thought he was a horrible player at Roma, and then he went to Liverpool. He's one of the best players I've seen. Same thing with Mane. Van Dijk was already good, but they go to a whole other level, and I think that environment is very structured. But there has to be something that club and the entire staff is able to inject in them that allows them to have freedom. So yeah, I think loving people more than loving sports or loving the sport might be an ingredient to unlocking that freedom.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always funny to me when like people, and I see it quite a bit. People get mad at like professional athletes when they're was it Roy Keane was like I hate when I see footballers smiling. You shouldn't be
Yeah,
smiling out there. And I was like, I love a lot of the stuff that he says. And I love his energy is awesome. But
yeah,
I just like, I completely disagree. Like
yeah,
I played the absolute best of my life when I was
yeah,
happy.
yeah.
And
And it's like
yeah,
you got to create that environment that like it's also okay to be angry and more of the
yeah,
competitor. Like Luke is one of the most competitive players that I have in my teams. And he'll get angry and he'll be upset when people don't take it serious. But I know that he feels free when we're at training. I know that um, he's enjoying himself at some moments of the game. I don't know if enjoying. I think he feels free.
yeah,
Um, and I feel it the same way the other way around. So like there's specific players on my teams that when they miss practice, I don't enjoy it as much. And it's almost like I have to realign. I was like, shoot, I'm here for the whole team. And like there's these specific players that I've intentionally put in my teams. I mean, they're good enough to play there, but they actually make me look forward to practice even more. Um, that's probably why I enjoy most of these teams because this is the first time where like all three teams, I think 80% to more of the players are those type of players. Before I would have to have only one here and one
yeah.
there. But yeah, but like when one of them is missing, it's almost like like it's not as free, it's not as enjoyable for me. So I can't imagine for them at the same time.
Yeah.
If like your team shows up and Coach Christo's not there and they enjoy having a session with you and it's like having a substitute teacher or like
Yeah.
really I'm not.
Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah, I definitely, I think, I think there's a balance you have to strike, kind of. And like, obviously, like I coach teams, like I structure training sessions and stuff, but like within that, you know, you can give players a lot of freedom. I literally, the other day, or last weekend, I had a player who I've been struggling with positioning. And they they can't play a position. But I've tried every position. They have no idea what's going on. They just run around the field. So the other day I was like, all right, I'm not giving you a position. Just go play. Just go play.
I'm gonna do it.
And we lost the game, but twice in the game, and she played the whole game really, really well. And then 2 times she got the ball, dribbled the whole team, and scored.
Oh wow.
I don't know. I don't know what was going on. I was like standing there in shock. I was like, whew. But and she played really, really well. And I haven't completely figured out how we'll deal with positioning, because like obviously eventually it's something that
Yeah.
we'll have to figure out. But I realized that I was kind of in my head, I was like, every single player on the field needs to have a position. It's like I thought about it. I'm like, why do they
Huh.
really need to? And like, obviously, I'm probably not going to do this at U16 or something. Um, but I had coaches who did like positioning drills with me when I was like 11 or 12. And that's what this player is. And she doesn't need a position to go play and do really well. And
Yeah.
if that means the other players have to work a little bit harder positionally to support that player, I'm okay with that for now. And we'll
Yeah. Yeah.
figure it
Yeah.
out as we go.
No, that's interesting. And in the same way, like being out of position, she's probably helping some other player more than they would be
Yeah.
helped.
I
So,
mean, basically, she just chases the ball around, and but she works really hard, um, and she gets the ball a lot, which is what she likes. Um, and she dribbles a lot, which is what she's good at. So
yeah.
for now, I'm happy with it, and we'll see how things go. But it was an interesting. I've been thinking about it, and I was like, all right, okay, let's try. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think we moved too deep into coaching positions as opposed to coaching the sport. Like if you just coach the rules of the game and space and movements, anybody can play anywhere because every position is dictated by open space, closed space,
Total
boundaries,
football.
where the goal is. Um, the rules outside. So like the positions actually are an extra hurdle that we give them.
Yeah.
you know. So I guess it's down to, was it Einstein? That's might have been Einstein. That like if you can't explain it simply, as simple as possible, then you don't understand it.
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes we don't fully understand our role as a coach.
All right. I think it was. Actually, we'll do three key takeaways first, and then I'll give us the topic for next week, which you actually kind of touched on a little bit already. So should be a good one. Three key takeaways. Let's go.
You want me to go first? Three key takeaways. Well, I go one. The first one, I think it's important that your previous experience doesn't limit the fullness of your next experience.
All right. I think that you should, experiment with kind of like taking away different things that make the game enjoyable to you, like playing with your team, playing on your field, playing, when you want, or whatever, and seeing if you still love the game. So go play on a crappy field, go play with a bunch of strangers that you don't know too well, and see, because
Sure.
sometimes those can be like the best experiences of your life.
And well, we picked one location today, or one field, but I think the last takeaway would be every single place has the potential to be a special place in your career. So it's up to you to how you approach it.
Definitely. All right. Yeah, next week's topic is going to be a team we played on that was really, really special. So, you were talking about how you can love people more than you love the sport. And a lot of the time our love for the sport comes from people, right?
Yeah.
If you hate all your teammates, you're probably not loving the sport right now.
Have you heard of the guy who wrote, I think it's The Power of, no, Start with Why, a book.
I haven't heard of it.
Okay,
I'll
anyways,
check
but
it
like
out.
no, well, don't.
Oh,
because
okay.
I don't, because I agree more that with the power of who or start with who. Like the who changes everything. Like if you go to a class that you hate, but you go with your best friends, it changes everything.
Yeah,
anyways,
100%.
continue.
Yeah. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Podcasts. Yeah. Thanks for listening. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.